That's $1,000,000 question.
Doctor, you're one of the first doctors on our show who has used this word rhythm.
If you have some peaceful practices like deep breathing, meditation, and you calm your nerves, you are more relaxed, it improves your sugar, your blood pressure, your heart rate.
Align your sleep time, align your breath, align your eating times. Once there's rhythm in the body, homeostasis, everything works in an intelligent way.
The second is a lifestyle. Third is the amount of stress. So much of things to achieve and they're always stressed about it. And the fourth thing is poor sleep.
These drugs, who needs them? Who were they designed for? And how can we bring mindfulness and science into making the right decisions?
So currently in India, what's happening is most of us have sedentary job. The physical activity is very low. Like, in the last 5 to 10 years, we have sacrificed the sleep a lot.
Just training muscle can be metabolically beneficial for us.
Have simple meals. So eat like your ancestors did. Avoid anything that comes in plastic packet.
We've seen patients who have reached to CKD4 with high blood pressure of 180 by 100, but they don't take their high blood pressure medication. They think, I'll meditate, I'll do pranayama, but they forget about silent spikes that are causing the damage. Welcome to the Wellness Reset. This is an episode that most of you have been waiting for across India and across the world. And today I have a very special guest who's so busy, but yet he's given us time to be here. Dr. David Chandy, thank you so much. Director, Endocrinology, HN Reliance, and I'm going to allow him to take over the rest of his introduction, doing fantastic work in the space of diabetes, metabolic health, and of course we're going to talk about Mounjaro, Ozempic, because he is that genius when it comes to that, the right way, the wrong way. I have to personally say, Doctor, that a lot of your patients are common with us. And one of the main reasons that you are on the show today is what's inspired me about your way of working is you've always integrated lifestyle and health together. All of our patients, they actually love you for, saying that he's not just medicating us. He's telling us to change our lifestyle. He's telling us to sleep better, eat better. You even tell them that, hey, I can put you on this drug, but there's a time I have to get you off it. So you have to learn how to change your behavior around food. And I think that is so complete in a world today where people are just chasing things for instant gratification, whether it's food, whether it's shortcuts with supplements and medicine, and just constantly spending a lifetime trying to fix their health. So thank you so much for being with us on the show today. And I would love for you to take us through your journey. Number one, why medicine? Why endocrinology? And please take us through your journey over the last couple of years, Doctor.
Okay. So medicine happened by chance. I was always interested in defense. And I got a good rank and I joined medicine. There's no one in the family from medicine. And why endocrinology? That's good because during our college days, I would interact with few of the endocrine residents who were studying endocrinology. And their knowledge was so complete. They knew everything about the entire body. So that inspired me to take up endocrinology. And the last, 15 years have been very good. You take care of the entire patient. You just don't look at an organ. So that's the beauty of endocrinology.
Oh, that's amazing. And we were having a chat over coffee before this, and I heard the most beautiful definition of allopathy.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about it. I would love for you to give that definition of what allopathy is to all of our audience.
So allopathy or modern medical science is a branch where the drug has been studied in detail across the continents, across various populations. You know how the medicine works, what is the correct dose, and what are the side effects. So tomorrow, if someone has a doubt, you can go back to the medical journals, check the medical literature, and you'll know what is the correct way to give it and what are the side effects.
Okay. And you see a lot of connection with nature. You see a lot of connection with plants. You were also talking about how certain medications are derived from saliva and then studied and put into a safe environment.
So, the history of drug development is very interesting. Many of the common diabetes drugs are actually derived from the bark of plants. Some of them are from the bark of a plant like apple, and they really work well. So most of the medicines have a root in nature. And only thing is we need to connect the dots. Many times we just talk about it as allopathic medicine with side effects. But if you go back to the origin, all of them actually are derived from natural sources.
Thanks for explaining that. So Doctor, I want to ask you a question right up front. Why are we the diabetic capital of the world?
Okay, so good. That's $1 million question. So the thing is, there are two reasons for that. One is the genetic predisposition. So compared to the other populations, we are at a higher risk. The second is our lifestyle. So compared to our parents or our grandparents' generation, they were farmers. They would work a lot. So currently in India, what's happening is most of us have sedentary job. The physical activity is very low. The kind of food that we eat, it's a lot of processed food. So around 2 generations back, hardly anyone would eat any processed food. Nowadays, a lot of our food is processed. That means it comes in plastic packets. There's bread, there's biscuits. If there's any function, there's always mithai or cake. Olden times, when we would go to our relative's house, we would carry some fruits, the apple or the pineapple or the orange. That tradition has gone away. So wrong food, lack of exercise, and the third is the amount of stress. So currently I see the people coming, they have so much expectations, so much of things to achieve, and they're always stressed about it. And the fourth thing is poor sleep. Like, in the last 5 to 10 years, we have sacrificed our sleep a lot. So these 4 things are the reversible factors. So if we want to reduce the diabetes burden in our population, like our Prime Minister has said, we need to focus on our health. We need to focus on food, sleep, exercise, and low stress.
Right. And we're also now hoping that our Prime Minister actually hears our plea for clean air as well.
Yes.
I'm reading massive studies of how, the body's metabolic function can also be impacted by the poor quality of air. Doctor, I love that you bring up sleep because, we have 2 sets of patients and we're constantly, some of them are put on CGM monitors, so we have access to their data on a daily basis. Some mornings, their FBS, their fasting blood sugar is perfect. 3 days later, it's completely off the place. So we look at their food, we look at their medication. They're taking their medication as per dosage. We're looking at their food, okay? The ones who are eating later night meals have a skewed FBS. The ones who have moved 3 hours early before bedtime, okay? And we've noticed in the patients who are eating earlier, they're sleeping deeper. I would love for you, this is all part of metabolic health. Can you describe in the simplest way possible what metabolic health is and how it's not just blood sugar levels, it's not just a fatty liver, how it's all interconnected, please?
So endocrinology and metabolism are very closely related. So if you are at peace with your body, with good food, good sleep, good exercise, our body's stress hormone called cortisol is low. So people who have poor quality of sleep, like you mentioned, the first thing we realize is the morning sugars go up. So anyone comes with a report where suddenly I see the morning sugar has gone high, either it is poor sleep or they had a big dinner or a late dinner. So we tell them that if you improve your sleep, you have your meals on time and you have a rhythm in your body, your sugars would come down. So some of the things we advocate is have simple meals. So eat like your ancestors did. Avoid anything that comes in plastic packet.
Yeah.
And we talk of having a colorful, balanced plate. So 1/4 of your plate should be your grains, 1/4 should be your protein, and half should be your vegetables and your fruits. With respect to exercise, again, we talk to them of having a routine exercise in place and some simple things like, in Marathi, there's one word called Shattapavli. That means 100 footsteps after dinner. So it is a very good thing to help you relax. It will reduce your bloating after dinner and it will give you a good sleep. So if you start the simple things, your next day morning sugars improve, your metabolic and your sugar health improves.
Thanks for explaining that, doctor. You've actually covered all the 4 pillars of holistic health. Have you seen a connection with, actually you've already answered that. We're seeing people who are stressed out, their breathing changes, their rhythm of breathing changes, shallow breathing, and there are spikes because sometimes when we look at CGM data, we say, hey, why do you have a spike over here? Oh, I didn't eat anything. But they had a stressful meeting or they were angry, they were shouting, and you see a direct change. I would love for you to talk about the impact of our breath or even, things like anger, emotions, which is chronic stress on our blood sugar levels.
So there are these 2 hormones which have a very strong correlation with blood sugar. One is cortisol and one is adrenaline. So when you're chronically stressed, that means you're stressed for days, the cortisol level goes up and this traps the energy or traps the sugar in the blood. So your sugar remains high. Second is short-term stress. This triggers the adrenaline rush. So again, this makes the sugar go up, makes your heart rate faster, makes you breathe faster. So there have been multiple studies that have shown that if you have some peaceful practices like deep breathing, meditation, and you calm your nerves, you are more relaxed, it improves your sugar, your blood pressure, your heart rate. So people who are very stressed should just try some of these things. Simple deep breathing, meditation, and have a rhythm in place. Like, if you always eat on time, have similar meals, sleep on time, and learn to let go. Many times, people have that possession that, I'm very worried because of XYZ thoughts, and they keep holding on to it. You need to let go. With that, easily your metabolic health would improve.
Dr. You're one of the first doctors on our show who has used this word rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. And I really like that because part of our practice, we're trained on circadian medicine, which is all about rhythms. Align your sleep time, align your breath, align your eating times, align your poop times, etc. And once there's rhythm in the body, homeostasis, everything works in an intelligent way. So thank you for mentioning that. Doctor, I want to get straight into Mounjaro, Ozempic, all of these weight loss drugs which have come in. We've seen some patients who were probably time bombs until this drug did come in, 140 kilos, 150, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, etc., etc. They're down today by 100, vitals are in place, everything is great. But at the same time, there's a lot of misuse of this. I would love for you to talk about, these drugs, etc. Who needs them? Who were they designed for? And how can we bring mindfulness and science into making the right decisions? Because a lot of people, if their doctor doesn't give it to them, they're going to someone else who gives it to them. If they're not getting it in our country, they're going out of our country where people are happy to administer the drug. And what's worse is we have seen the outcome of the misuse of this drug when these patients come back to us. They've not taken it the right way, or they've taken it without making changes, etc., and they have new problems. So I would love for you to throw light on this, please.
So we'll start from the history of this. So way back in 2005, there were these drugs that were found. They were called GLP-1 agonist. So they have almost a 20-year history now. And they were initially detected to get the blood sugars down. And then, way back in around 2017-18, they showed that one of these molecules, that is semaglutide, at a higher dose even reduced craving for food. So the pleasure that you get from eating food comes down. It makes the stomach a bit lazy. So you eat little and your stomach does not expand. So you don't feel like overeating or taking the second helping. And third, like other drugs in that group, it gets your sugar down. So they realized that maybe like at a higher doses, it would improve with weight loss. So there have been multiple studies done from 2018, and now there's two molecules. Your Ozempic, which is your semaglutide, and Mounjaro, which is tirzepatide, has good amount of data to get the weight down. So it's mainly indicated for people with a body mass index above 30 or someone with a BMI body mass index about 27 with some comorbidity. What do we mean by that? Is someone who has a borderline weight plus they have maybe obstructive sleep apnea, fatty liver, diabetes, high blood pressure or knee pain because of weight. So in them, when you take this, gradually over the next 1 to 2 years, the weight comes down and there's good data. It is found to have multiple other benefits, like it reduces the heart risk, it improves the kidney function, it has amazing results to reduce fatty liver. Because all of them are related to the visceral fat. So when the visceral fat comes down, your insulin resistance improves, the load on the all other organs like liver, heart, kidney, all reduce. But the thing over here to remember is, take it in the correct way. Many people try to jump the gun. So what I tell patients is, remember, it's like completing a marathon. You're not doing a 100-meter race. So some people come and say, I have a wedding, I have, a party, I need to lose 10 kilos weight in 3 months. So they are asking for trouble. They may sometimes, misuse it. They may start at a higher dose, or they may quickly escalate their dose, and then they may land up in side effects. So we tell the patient, this is a scientific drug, use it in a scientific way. We always start with a low dose and we go slow. So if you go low and slow, you will not land up with side effects. And we take the, picture clear to them that, these are your expectations and these will be the results. Don't hurry up with the dose. Don't look for immediate, results. Our goal is to be lean and fit. Some people who take with very high doses and those who don't follow a lifestyle, they don't focus on food, sleep, exercise, they become lean and frail. We don't want that. So if you want to be lean and fit, please focus on the food, exercise and sleep.
I think muscle loss is a concern, and if people don't change their nutrition and macros, that's what we've been seeing in people who abuse it. And like you rightly said, people using it for a short term. I have a wedding, I need to fit into a dress, etc. I need to look good for a holiday. Doctor, I also wanted to talk to you about there's a lot of media showing that, oh, people have taken Ozempic and now they're losing their memory, they're getting this, they're getting that. I would love for you to throw light on that because, again, that's social media, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's noise. But I would like your scientific, thought process along this, and maybe some tips to the audience on what they can do to kind of negate these side effects.
So how do we negate or mitigate it is, again, like whenever we look at the literature, these complications are more in people who started off with higher doses. So never be in a hurry, always start with the lowest dose. Second, where there was tremendous amount of drop in the weight or drop in the sugar. Be it any complication like the muscle loss or the stomach being lazy, which is called gastroparesis, or some rare complications like, the blood supply to the eye, which is being reduced, all of them correlate with drastic weight loss or with drastic lowering of the blood sugar. So remember, we are never in a hurry. It's always good to start low, go slow.
Right.
With that, most of the complications can be avoided, number one. Second thing is the balance of your food. Make sure that your carbs are less, but make sure there's a good amount of protein
Yeah.
and the weight training.
Yes.
If there's a good protein and good weight training, there won't be significant muscle loss. It will be a very marginal muscle loss. The third thing is, many times patients who take this forget to drink water. So if you don't hydrate yourself, you will then land up with low blood pressure, dizziness. The last thing what we see is, this is a very medicine which is very sensitive on your stomach and intestine. So be careful in what you eat. Like I had one patient, who went for a wedding and had a lot of pani puri. And then she landed up with stomach infection and she had severe diarrhea. So don't eat something that can cause food poisoning.
Okay.
So these are the 4-5 points that we counsel the patients well.
That's amazing.
And make it sure that, they have understood these concepts and then they do well with the medicine.
So, doctor, can there be possibilities? Because I've seen a couple of cases who have come and say, hey, Luke, Mounjaro is not working for us, Ozempic's not working for us, etc. I will be honest, I'm not the medical expert there, but I find various gaps in their lifestyle, which could possibly be, we always believe that if you have a great lifestyle, there's a possibility that your medications can be way more effective. We see that with chemotherapy, radiation. But I wanted to ask you, are there cases that you see where it doesn't work on people? And what would those reasons be?
So we would classify them into two groups. So even in the data that has been published, we see that around 5%, to 10% people, it doesn't work. So there could be some genetic reasons. Their metabolism would be a bit different. For some reason, they would be like resistant to the action of the GLP-1. So gradually, we are going to have newer generation of these molecules, which would try to, work on this resistant group. Second could be like, practical reasons. One reason that, initially in Mumbai, there was, the issue that, people would not get it. So they would, go and get it from a different country and maybe it is not stored properly. So if you don't store this medicine properly, it has to be stored in the fridge and you need to use it properly. The second is the improper technique. Some people would not take the proper technique. They would, only inject half the dose.
Okay.
So this is the technical issue. So whenever there's a patient in front of you, it's very important that we educate them properly. How to purchase it, where do they take it, how do they store it. So all these technical things are important. So never be in hurry with a patient, tell them just take this medicine. So we had one patient, who was half of the drug he would administer outside. He would take it out quickly out and half of the drug would fall out. We had one patient who was not storing it in the fridge. So then we realized that these were the issues. And once they were rectified, it improved quite well.
I love the fact that you spend that time counseling your patients because, like I said, when some of your patients come to us, they already have been spoken to about sleep, etc. You did some marriage counseling also for one of our patients because of the stress aspect. So that's amazing. Doctor, I want to talk about, so Mounjaro, Ozempic, all of these things are happening right now, the scientific way, right way, wrong way. I would love for you to talk about the thyroid right now because that's another huge issue in our country. I also want to talk about, in your experience, why does this happen? Is it lifestyle? I see a category of patients who, the moment their stress levels become chronic, the thyroid gland starts to react. We're seeing a lot of Hashimoto's today, a lot of Hashimoto's. And a lot of people don't even know they have Hashimoto's until they get their ATGs, TPOs done. And autoimmune again. So I would love for you to talk about thyroid and leave our audience also with simple tips, lifestyle changes, how not to leave their medication just because they think, it's okay. I would love for you to talk about that, please.
So again, thyroid sounds very dangerous. The name Hashimoto's, many people get worried. So he's a simple Japanese pathologist whose name is associated. and it's a common condition. Interestingly, this is not related so much to lifestyle, but what has happened is now there's been so much mushrooming of labs. Any person who gets a basic evaluation has a TSH report, and this is being picked up earlier. So this trend was seen in West around 20 years back because we have easy access to get the test done. So whenever the thyroid gland is weak, we call it hypothyroidism, and it's as common as 10 to 15% of the female population. In men, it would be around 3 to 5%. Why is it being picked up now? Is because we have access to pick it up. And yes, one trigger is stress. Whenever there's a lot of stress, your hormones change, your immunity changes, and that could trigger autoimmunity. But it is the simplest condition on the planet to manage. So anybody has hypothyroidism, tell them, don't worry. You should be thankful to God that you have only this and you don't have something worrisome. Because it's a very small tablet. It costs 1 rupee per tablet. But you need to be disciplined. And like I always mention, take it like a rhythm. Every day morning, empty stomach, you take it. Your thyroid hormone fluctuations will go down and you can lead a very, very healthy life. There are some, foods that can affect the thyroid gland. And if you have too much of them, like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, rarely it can make the thyroid gland a bit lazy. Otherwise, in general, it is just a very simple treatment process. If you have these levels which are high, you take your thyroid pill, take it regularly, and you need to follow up with your doctor once in 6 months to once in a year. What we see commonly is patients then forget to visit the doctor and they stop medicine themselves, thinking that this is such a big burden. But what I tell them is, remember, hypothyroidism is a condition where your thyroid gland needs help. So it's a supplement that you're taking. It's not a medicine. We are replacing what the body is lacking.
Yeah.
For example, if you have iron deficiency, the only treatment is iron. If you are thirsty, the only treatment is water. If you're hungry, the only treatment is food. So if your body has low thyroid hormone, we are just rebalancing with a simple tablet called thyroxine. So don't be worried. It is not homeopathic, it is not Ayurvedic, it is not naturopathy. It is called replacement therapy. You take it, you'll be absolutely fine.
Okay. Any lifestyle changes that would go into maintaining great thyroid health?
Yes, one is discipline. Like if you're taking the medicine, take it regularly. And if someone is taking a huge amount of these vegetables, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, they need to cut it down. Otherwise, it's just discipline in your medicine.
Discipline medicine. Okay, great. I want to talk about muscle as an endocrine organ. This is being spoken about hugely in Western countries. Kind of makes sense. I'm a fan of anatomy, and when you look at muscle function in its correlation with glucose uptake, etc., maintaining ATP metabolism, I would love for your thoughts on muscle and simple tips that we can give people. Because in India, when you talk about muscle, a lot of people I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to do this. I would love for you to explain how just training muscle can be metabolically, beneficial for us.
So again, this has been neglected for many years. Since the last 5 years, there's been good research on it. And what has been done traditionally in Mumbai or in India, people are focusing a lot on aerobic exercise. So we have this Mumbai marathon, which many of us participate. It's coming up now in the 3rd week of January. But what we have seen is people neglect their weight training a lot, especially in the population above the age of 50. And it's very important for diabetic people and people who are obese to focus on both aerobic and your weight training. Otherwise, what would happen is your muscles would become quite soft, and muscles are actually the main workhouses of your body. They actually take in all the glucose. If they don't pull in the glucose, your glucose levels would go high, and this glucose that gets converted to fat.
Right.
So it's important to have a good balance between your aerobic workouts and your weight training. We recommend everyone at least 150 minutes minimum of aerobic exercise and minimum 75 to 90 minutes of weight training per week. For anyone who is targeting a good metabolic health, be it for diabetes, be it for weight, or any other lifestyle related disease.
That'll also help us with osteoporosis, which is a huge issue in our country. Can you draw the correlation between bone health and the importance of training muscle?
Yes. So osteoporosis means a condition where your bones are brittle. So it usually occurs in females after the age of 65 and in men after 70. But of late, we are seeing many younger people having brittle bones. So what we could do is make sure your intake of calcium is good. Make sure you're getting good vitamin D. So sunlight is a good source of vitamin D. And in exercise here, it's interesting, the weight training is more important. Especially if you're doing weight bearing exercise, the bone gets more stimulus to grow. And another one good exercise is balance training. So that's an exercise that many people neglect. So exercises like Tai Chi and others, where they teach you about good balance, goes a long way to protect your bone health.
Wow, that's amazing. So a lot of yoga is beneficial for our senior citizens, since most of them wouldn't do Tai Chi.
Yes.
But I think Tai Chi's come to our country. A lot of people are doing it. So I love that you spoke about balance as well. So Dr. Vitamin D, since you speak about that, it's been 14 years since I've moved to Mumbai, and we look at labs, and 1 in 2 patients, or now even 1 in 1, is deficient in vitamin D. And when I say deficient, critically deficient, 9, 8, 7. We started getting even kids as young as 7 tested when they have metabolic issues, and their levels are at 3 and 4. So while sunlight is the best, supplementation given by doctors can also, but I would love for you to talk about the importance of this. And people still think it's only to do with the bones. It has nothing to do with hormones, weight, etc. I would love for you to talk about this, please.
So yes, my main area of research and interest is vitamin D. So way back in 2010 to 14, we had published this literature in British Journal of Nutrition, where the basic level of vitamin D in newborn kids and their mothers were as low as 6 to 7.
Wow.
Okay. And way back in 2017-18, we published the data from Mumbai. Even in the affluent society, the vitamin D levels were around 7 to 8. So it's not changed, in the last 2 decades. Now, how does vitamin D affect us? So it's like one of the most omnipresent hormone. Like it's present in all the cells, and it's important for all the organs to function well. And if your vitamin D is low, it will affect your immunity, it will affect your bone health, muscle health, heart, brain, all the organs. Now, how do we get vitamin D? The natural source of vitamin D is through sunlight.
Right.
Okay. But what happens is we are so busy in our work, our office manager won't allow us to go in the sunlight, But if you can get sunlight, the ideal form of vitamin D you would get between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the sunlight, at least 20 minutes without a glass and without a sunscreen. So we Indians have, skin pigmentation. So compared to Westerners, we are lucky we won't get skin cancer. Like, in Western society, they're always worried of skin cancer because when they get sunlight, their skin gets inflamed.
Correct. Yeah.
So we advise vitamin D level to be above 30. Why? Because vitamin D is a simple watchman. He opens the door at the intestine for calcium to enter in. Only if calcium enters in will calcium go into your bone. When calcium goes into your bone becomes strong. But if there's no vitamin D, even if you eat calcium, your calcium won't get digested and it will go out to the motion.
Yeah.
So it's important that you get sunlight or get vitamin D supplementation, but always maintain your vitamin D levels above a value of 30.
No, it's great because I think even years ago, there was just calcium supplements. Today there's calcium with D, and now with K2 as well, because the new science, I don't think it's new science. The K2 helps the calcium go into the right places and not into the wrong places. Doctor, I wanted to ask you about, we spoke about thyroid, we spoke about diabetes. There's this whole new rising amount of Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's hitting people way more earlier right now. There have been lots of medical correlations between diabetes, and now it's being termed as type 3 diabetes as a form of Alzheimer's, especially for patients who have not maintained their blood sugar levels for whatever reasons. They've stopped their medications, they've not taken it, or they've not even changed their lifestyle. And how does this affect the brain? What is the impact of, irregular blood sugar levels, high blood sugar levels on our brain?
Both, persistently high sugars or even fluctuating sugars affect, the brain's development and, the brain's thinking capacity. So if there's optimum level of sugar in the brain, then you could prevent or delay dementia. But it's seen commonly like people who have very high sugars, their blood flow, especially the small arteries that supply the brain, they get choked up, and this leads to memory issues. So we say that for a good brain health, it's important to keep the sugars in the good zone. Similarly, even frequently low sugars is also dangerous for the brain. So we need a good balance to prevent this.
Right. So then again, that comes with your medication on time and your lifestyle. You brought up a great point because India is also the leading, capital of the world when it comes to CKD. And when you tie it in with high blood pressure and the effect of diabetes, which most people kind of have together, I would love for you to emphasize a point on the importance of not stopping your medication, because we've seen patients who have reached to CKD4 with high blood pressure of 180 by 100, but they don't take their high blood pressure medication. They think, I'll meditate, I'll do pranayam, but they forget about silent spikes that are causing the damage. I would love for you to emphasize on the importance of this correlation, because there is, oh, I have a high blood pressure, that's supposed to affect my heart. What does it have to do with my kidneys? I would love for you to talk about this point.
So this was a big issue way back in COVID, where many people had no access to meet the doctors, and they would say, why take the medicine? I'll stop it for a few months. And it then turned out to be almost 2 to 3 years they didn't take medicine. So it's very important that you take your medicines and be in touch with your doctor. So in India, luckily, the access to doctors is easy compared to maybe US and Europe, where you need to wait for months. So sugar and blood pressure are like, two strong parameters which are very important for the health of your kidney, for the health of your brain and your eyes. If the values of this, are on the higher side, then your health of your brain, heart, kidney would get damaged. Especially CKD, since you mentioned. The leading cause of CKD in our country is high sugar and high blood pressure. And they are easily reversible. There are so many simple medicines available for diabetes and for pressure. But many times what happens is, because they are silent diseases, people forget to take the medicine, or they say like, I'll think of it later. So I have some of my close friends, who said that, David, I'm not worried because it's not troubling me now. What they don't realize is these are silent diseases. They will create an issue 5 years, 10 years down the line, and by that time the kidney damage would be permanent. Now kidney, unfortunately, is an organ that you don't have much of medicines to reverse it. Like you can, control your sugars easily, you can control your blood pressure easily. But once the kidney is damaged, there are very few medicines that can improve the kidney function.
Doctor, I know how busy you are, but what do you do for your health? How do you manage your health amidst your schedule?
Good question. So I have a very balanced diet, number one. With exercise, like, I allow long distance running, long distance swimming. So whenever possible, like, so I've enrolled for the TMM half marathon. So I've been doing it regularly. With respect to sleep, so that I find the most toughest, with patients calling. But I try to make sure that I sleep for 6.5 hours a day.
Yes. Okay.
And the fourth thing is I learn to let go. So many times, when something stressful is there, like, okay, chill, I'm not worried. So that's something my wife, finds it like, you're not worried, like, how come you're so calm? But I'm happy with that.
When you go into the science of what really helps us with, navigating through the stress of life, there are just 3 words: acceptance, let go, and surrender. Focus on what you can control, let go of the things that you can't control. And that's something that we constantly teach people, because there is no other solution to stress. So that's the first time I'm hearing someone actually on our show talking about the power of letting go. But thank you for sharing that. So doctor, there are a lot of people who are abusing, these weight loss drugs. Can you explain, how they're doing it and what the dangers of doing this, how it's affecting them in the long run?
So one interesting thing is, the newer molecules. This is a growing science. So some people try to jump the gun. So even without the entire evidence out there, they're trying to go for the newer under-researched molecules. So one of the examples, I had one patient who, called me from USA and said that, we have access to a molecule called retatrutide. So this is the triple agonist. It works on GLP, GIP and glucagon. And the initial results are quite promising. But we don't have the entire data yet. What would be the long-term side effects? So this is available online for research purposes. So if you're doing a research and you're a medical, team, you have a medical research team, then they're allowed. But people are buying it online and using it on themselves. Why take that risk? This molecule may have some complications, maybe, years later.
Yeah.
Then you will regret it. So my message to all patients would be, don't jump the gun. We need proper data to know what are the benefits. We also need the proper data to know what are the side effects.
Right.
God forbid if there's some side effect of some molecule that you're taking, then tomorrow you'll land up in trouble. So don't jump the gun. Be patient. There's a right time for everything.
That's powerful. And doctor, air pollution, it's affecting everyone in Mumbai, Delhi and our other cities across. What is the impact of air pollution on metabolic health?
So there are 2-3 factors. Like, nowadays when I talk to people on, going to their early morning walk, they laugh at me.
Yeah.
Doctor, you want us to walk in this pollution, and then we'll end up with more cough. So whenever there is so much of pollution, the inflammation parameters go up. It triggers autoimmune disease. People cough a lot, so then they land up with sugar spikes. Second is some of these pollutants also affect the metabolic health. Studies have shown that it leads to sugars going up, and it also affects the blood pressure. The quality of sleep gets disturbed. So in fact, there's even lot of research being done on the effect of this pollution and metabolic health. And they're not only air pollution, there's something now called as endocrine disruptors. So these are chemicals that would be present in air, or things like your perfume, or things like your sunscreen, which can affect your metabolic health. It can sometimes in young children even trigger puberty. So now off late we are seeing many young children having puberty at an earlier age.
Right.
One of the reasons is this endocrine disruptors.
So you're talking about xenoestrogens, basically.
Yes. So some of them. So that's why we need a clean health. So clean eating, clean air, clean water.
Clean water.
This is must.
The foundations, basically.
And keep your body exposed to minimum chemicals.
So, doctor, a lot of people come to us with this mentality or this attitude that, hey, I can take Mounjaro when I put on weight, I can take Ozempic when I put on weight, and then I'll lose weight. And if I put on weight again, I can go on taking the drug. I would love for you to caution people about this attitude and how to actually use it the right way, because how long do people have to actually be on it? And is it recommended that people should use it this way? They get their results, then they change their lifestyle, put on their weight, and they keep taking this drug. I would love for you to throw some light on that, please.
So not only weight, even diabetes.
Yeah.
Both of them we need to realize are chronic conditions. So for both of these conditions, you need good food, good exercise, good sleep, and medications.
Yeah.
Now suppose you are doing this, do it at least for 2 to 3 years. Gradually let your weight come to the good zone. Same with your diabetes. Once your sugars come in a good zone, then you can go into a maintenance dose. So then we gradually start, plateauing the dose and even start lowering the dose. And with each subsequent 3-month or 6-month visit, if they're seeing they're doing good, then we can gradually taper it off. But each time we tell them, please remember, maintain your rhythm, good food, good sleep, good exercise are the basic foundation. And if after a few years, they are very good and you have maintained them at a target zone, it's like we can go one step down at a time. And few patients who are very disciplined, they are able to go off the medicine. So we have few patients who have been very disciplined and they've been on this drug for a few years and they've gone off it and they have maintained their discipline and their rhythm with their food, sleep and exercise.
Yeah, after they've gotten off.
After they've got off. Yeah. But we have the other group of patients who have taken it for maybe 6 months and they've said enough, I'm going to stop it, and they don't maintain discipline with their food, exercise and sleep, and they go back to their weight, which they started off with. So we don't want this yo-yo phenomena. We want to, it's like how your flight is landing, gradually go down and maintain your target weight and target sugars. And then we could, gradually go off it.
So have you also seen that a patient comes with you and maybe you anticipate an X amount of time, but these patients are really changing their lifestyle and doing so well that everything's getting expedited and you can actually reduce that.
Definitely, we see
it's
that
happening. So there is
around
that.
10% of patients who are very disciplined, I tell them that you're done better than my target. So that's good. We appreciate them and we maintain them. Tell them you maintain this discipline and you'll do very well.
Doctor, there are so many people out there. What would your last message to them be? Based on what you're seeing in your patients, what message would you want to leave our audience with? So maybe some of them are diabetic, some of them have thyroid, some of them are looking to prevent these conditions, some of them may be on Mounjaro and Ozempic. I would love for you to take the last 60 seconds to share your message.
So number one, be knowledgeable. If you know what you're dealing with, you'll not be afraid. Number two, have a good doctor with you where you can discuss this issue. And now, the correct science is easily available. Many times, people get confused when they ask, too many things or they ask it to ChatGPT. So discuss with your doctor. And metabolic health can easily be balanced with good food, regular exercise, maintaining a rhythm for your food and sleep, and learning to, manage your stress levels. With these 4 things, your sugar, blood pressure and all can, they may seem to be large demons, but they actually small, little things. You can easily manage them.
Dr. David, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope all of you have enjoyed this episode on the Wellness Reset. Again, Dr. Chandy is available at HN Reliance. He's a very busy man, but he will give you that time. I appreciate you giving time to all of our patients and counseling them on lifestyle as well. Remember to hit that subscribe button so that you get the whole episode and you don't miss any more of our experts coming on this show. Thank you, Doctor. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.